if something is not working, I want to be able to leave and go where I need to and to move and not just be stuck and forced to watch something bad happen. So that like agility, independence, freedom, it's all like very linked to this like chronic aloneness that's present to it. Like it gives you more freedom and agility to move and make your choices as you want to. So it's like definitely feeding like the experience of free will in this lifetime. It's like I am allowed to choose and I'm not going to lose that for anything. Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome to Akashic Records and Friends. My name is Mina, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you so much for joining me and for tuning in. I'm so glad to be here with you in this virtual space. I'm super excited to share this episode with you. I had the privilege of reading for this lovely being named Bree. And she's actually a friend of a friend, so she's a new friend. And this reading was so potent. And I think, when I read for people, it's not just it's a co-creative space. So it's like, yes, it, depends on the person who is reading. It depends, on their style and their relationship with the keepers of the records. But it really heavily depends on the person being read for and how they show up to the space and the questions they ask and how open they are. That is the thing that really that's a major set of variables and that can really that's like there's so much creative potential and power in how the reading goes depending on how the person being read for shows up to the reading. And I think what I loved so much about this reading with Bree was her courage to ask the questions that she really wanted to ask. And it's one thing to ask powerful questions, but it's another thing to ask powerful questions when you know this is going to be heard by other people. And I just want to remind you, my dear listener, that the people that I'm reading for, these are real people. These are real people asking tender questions about real things happening in their lives, real things that they're going through. And it's such an honor and a privilege. I feel very grateful that they're allowing us and, all of us that are in this listening space to get a glimpse inside their world because it's very it's intimate, it's vulnerable, and I think it takes a lot of courage. And the questions Bree asked were questions that I appreciated so much because I think so many of us can relate to the things she asked. And the theme, the name of this episode is The Gifts of Chronic Aloneness. And that is Bree's phrase. And I think it's so beautiful. So I just want to give credit to her for that like gorgeous phrasing of this experience and this feeling that a lot of us might be able to relate to. I'm sure at some point in your life you've experienced the feeling of aloneness or loneliness. And some of you might resonate with, the feeling and the depth of the phrase chronic aloneness. And this is a theme that Bree has been, working with and moving through and experiencing for much of her life since she was a kid, she said. So this whole reading was centered around this theme of chronic aloneness. And some of the questions she asked, they were so, again, so powerful. She asked, what are the gifts of chronic aloneness? Hence the name of this episode. And that was such a potent question. And again, like these readings are so driven by the person being read for, the questions they ask, and the openness that they show up with. And that question and Bree's energy really allowed the records to meet her in a very special way. and offer her a perspective in response to that question that I thought was really lovely. And I'm so excited for you to hear what the gifts of chronic aloneness are, what some of the gifts of chronic aloneness are. And maybe you'll resonate with this, maybe you won't. But I do think that whether you find this question relatable or not, this perspective is really, it really, it's different and it really puts you in a different place. It helps you relate to the experience of chronic aloneness. It helps you think about it differently. And hopefully, I would hope that by thinking about it differently, relating to it differently, you would be able to have a different experience potentially, at least soften it. And that doesn't mean that hearing this perspective will help anyone who's feeling lonely just stop feeling lonely. Absolutely not. And yet, I do think that it will help you relate to the feeling of loneliness or chronic aloneness differently. And that's really all that's the magic of the records, and that's all they can really do for us is offer us insight, perspective to help us experience our life differently. And I think there's so much freedom in and creative power in being able to hold different perspectives because they really that is one very powerful way to shift your experience of something is by changing the way you look at it, the way you relate to it. So, and I've said this before, but if I could capture the magic of the Akashic Records in one sentence, it would be if, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think that this reading is an example of that. So, I can't wait to dive in. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So again, just so much gratitude to Bree for showing up with courage and openness and yeah, good spirit. It was a delight to read for her, and we have a lot of fun. One of the other things that we get to talk about in this reading that was it just like melts my heart every time this shows up in a reading. But she asked about her pet, her beloved pet, and we kind of explore the soul bond and the relationship, the soul relationship between her and her dear pet. So. I've had the pleasure of getting to hold that question, that type of question, explore that topic with people in a few readings. And it's just so sweet every time it comes up. So I hope you'll enjoy that, especially if you're an animal person. You might enjoy hearing, one example of what a soul bond between a person and their dear animal could be like. And again, as ever, I just want to remind you that this is a reading that's specifically for Bree, and we're in her records with her permission, and she's asking things specifically about her life. I do think there's a lot in this reading that people will be able to relate to, but just a gentle reminder, take it all with a grain of salt because I am reading for her specifically with her permission. So, okay. Yeah, this one is so good. I'm so excited to share it with you. Just some heads up. There's moments in this where there's like barking dogs in the background, and there wasn't anything I can do about that sound-wise. So you'll hear that in the background, and I hope it's not too distracting. It's just for certain moments. It's not the entire time, so you won't have, just barking dogs like ringing in your ears for an hour. Don't worry, it'll come and go, but it's not too bad, I don't think. Um, and in the post-reading chat, I'm a little bit under the weather when we recorded this, so my voice it sounds different, and I'm speaking a little bit less than I usually do because I had like a terrible cough at that time. So I was trying to save my voice a little bit while still having a meaningful conversation with Bree. So, okay, I think that was everything I wanted to share about the episode. I don't want to withhold the episode too much longer. The last thing I'll say before we dive into it is please, if you would like to, I invite you to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening, whether that's Substack, Spotify, or YouTube. if you want to watch the video version of this and see me and Bree talk to each other, you can find that on Substack and YouTube. But yeah, please subscribe wherever you're listening. If you want to receive all the Akashic goodness that I offer, you can subscribe to my Substack called Akashic Goodness, and that's my weekly newsletter community. And you can subscribe for free, and get every podcast episode plus previews of the other Akashic transmissions I share there. And if you want access to all of the Akashic goodness, it's just $5 a month to join. So those resources are there for you if you would like them. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to dive in. So I will catch you at the end of the episode, and I hope you enjoy. The Akashic Records are now open. I'm gonna just take a moment to feel into the space to see if there's anything immediately present upon opening. It feels really spacious, like there's so much like wide open space, and it feels like there's a lot of um, potential. It's like if like the space of your records was just this field of raw potential, empty space where anything could bloom. That's what it feels like.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you'd like to ask?
I think what's really been activated this week is my relationship to being alone, my relationship to being alone, which I've called chronic aloneness. And I'm always looking for the gifts of that. So I guess I'm wondering, what is the message for me in the aloneness now?
Yeah, my gosh, beautiful question. The gifts of chronic aloneness. Yeah, let me sit with that. So, the first, like, very soft image that's coming through is it's almost like if you were seated in this, like, empty, spacious, like, raw potential. It feels connected to that, like, first image that came through when I opened, where it's this, like, just blank space where anything lovely could happen. And it's this imagery of like a seed and the gifts of chronic aloneness being akin to the way that a seed might feel when it's underground, all alone by itself, waiting. And it's like this like moment of waiting before the seed like bursts forth into life and how that might feel like an eternity.
Mhm.
And so it's like this space where like the seed doesn't know time, right? It's like, and in that aloneness, time is blurred even more, where it's like, I don't know how long I've been sitting here. There's nothing here. So it's like there's nothing to track how much time has passed. And so it's this like really warped kind of magical, trippy sort of sense of time where it's like it could have been a minute, it could have been a few days, it could have been an eternity, and it's like there's almost no difference between those.
Mhm.
And so that's like kind of the feeling sense of it. And they're saying like, oh, like the chronic aloneness. They're looking at it through this lens of a seed, like waiting to burgeon. And it's like that aloneness is the way the seed is alone underground, as alone as a seed can be underground, where it's like it's not really alone. There's so much life under the surface, and
Mhm.
everything it could possibly need is right there.
Mhm.
And even the warmth of the unseen sun is penetrating through the earth into the ground, and it's like the warmth of the earth itself. So it's like there's warmth and like nourishment coming from all directions. It's like you don't know which way up and down is, but it's like it's warm and tended from all sides. So it feels like this, yeah, aloneness that you might be experiencing is really held. And it might feel difficult. I imagine that like it's not all, just lovely all the time. But it's got this like undercurrent of like nourishment and care. It's like everything you need for that like potential to bloom is right there. So it's like the aloneness is necessary because if like the seed was super crowded by all this other stuff, it wouldn't be able to grow. Even if it was just sitting above the ground, it's like it needs to be down like alone in the earth. It can't be, where the grass and all the animals and everything is. It's like it has to be sort of alone for this process to occur. And so it feels like it's a very purposeful, intentional, like divinely intentional season of aloneness where it's like it's serving a purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah. How does that feel to you so far?
Um, Very resonant. I am in a really big period um, of change, and there's a lot happening, and there's also a lot that I'm not physically doing, and time is very off. But
Mm.
as I've been closing my eyes a lot, and as I uh, opened them, I saw your cat came in,
Yes.
and I wanted to resist asking about my cat, but now it feels relevant because in this period, even if we stick with the seed image, like there's things that maybe the seed sheds in that process. There's things the seed brings in order to, grow and shift. So there's a lot that's leaving me and some of which I don't understand. But one thing that left me recently was my cat. And so I just noticed a lot of emotion come in when your cat walked in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but there's part of me that's like, maybe there was a reason that my cat was meant to leave as well. Um,
Hmm.
so that was just an interesting thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we can ask about that if you'd like to.
yes, I would love to. I would love to ask about that because I do feel I have felt very connected to my cat through these last few years.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm. So it seems like we could ask this in a couple of different ways, but it sounded like the question is like was it why? Could you just phrase the question again? What you'd like to ask about the cat?
Yeah, like of course I would like to know if my cat is well, but but was it just time for my cat to leave? Was
Hmm.
it time for him to go?
Ah, okay. Let me ask. The cat as well. Cat
That's what I figured.
Cat is happy. Yeah. And it's almost like there's something hilarious about this where it's like, you know how good like a well cared for cat's life is on Earth? Can you imagine it getting better? It's hard to imagine, but it got better. It's like that's like the vibe that's present because it's like there are some cats I know where it's like that's like the epitome of heaven on earth, and somehow it gets better. So it's like he is well. Hmm. Yeah, let's see what else is here around that. It does seem like there's something around this and like the timing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let me see. It's coming slowly. So, right, the question was like, was it just his time to go? It's like, yes. And it seems like we can ask a little bit more around this too. Like,
Yeah.
it almost seems like was that like how did the timing of that were there any gifts in that? Was there any lessons in that? Was there a reason for the timing? It seems like we could ask something in that vein if you'd like to.
I mean, around that time, I was like felt like I was paying less attention to him for the first time in years,
Oh,
just
wow.
coincidentally.
Okay.
So there was a lot of feeling that came up, like, did I scare him away? Not scare him, but did I somehow, you know, energetically shun him or something?
Hmm.
So there's those feelings I can name, but also I've been feeling an impulse to not be where I am, like in this home that I'm in.
Hmm.
And so part of me wonders if it's like I need to physically move.
Hmm.
And maybe that was part of that preparation.
Yeah. Let me see what's your. It doesn't feel like um there was this sense of like energetically being shunned or, being paid less attention to.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you've been kind of wondering about, it doesn't feel like that's how it felt on the cat's end. It feels like it's fine. Um, yeah, and it's almost like with the like whatever, like as much as a cat could care if you pay attention or not, it's like it's fine. Like it's like whatever. Yeah. So there's that kind of like feline indifference in that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it seems almost like there's like a soul history here that might kind of illuminate some things in the present.
Yeah,
Is that something that you'd want to explore, like a past life connection with the cat?
sure.
Okay. Okay. So there's a sense like this, the spirit, like the cat spirit, is like a longtime companion. This cat has been with you in different forms. Um, yeah, in different times, places, lifetimes, if you will. And it seems like um if the cat could speak, which it does feel like he's kind of chatting, where it's like, I am with her before and after the storm. Or it's like he's your companion after the hard thing happens and before the next like big thing happens, where it's like there's comfort and there's almost like this preparation quality where it's like this energy of like tending the spirit before like big waves of like growth. So it's like um yeah, like comfort, spirit animal, like just like caring, the comfort, yeah, the comfort of like going through a big transition and then there's someone there to kind of like help you recover from that. And like to, yeah, just like come down from that like big wave of experience, whatever it might be. And then to kind of just like come back to neutral. And then there's like this pause in between where it's like after a big wave has happened, coming down from that, being in the neutrality of like the bottom of the wave, and then being in the preparation for the next wave to kind of like come and peak. So it's like that whole like middle section between the peaks of the waves is kind of where he finds you. And so and that doesn't mean, like big waves of growth don't happen like when he's around, but it does seem like that's his preference is to kind of like find you in that like coming down, downtime preparation phase. And especially like before like yeah, like a big wave of like change or growth or transition is happening. It's like that's like where he finds you. So in that. Does that make sense? Does what I'm saying make sense?
Um, sure, yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely in a period of change.
Yeah.
And and he left before kind of I started feeling little bits of momentum.
Yeah, yeah, and it seems like that's his like pattern and preference where it's like he's there to almost like strengthen your spirit and fortify you for what's going to come, and then he leaves, where it's like he just like moves on. And so um and it seems like there's like reasons for that, but part of it is just like there's a lot around this. Let me see. Hmm. There is something about this theme of aloneness where it's like I can't help you with that part. So it's like I'm not there for that part. And it is also like to give you as much like mobility, flexibility as you can have. It's to like kind of like lighten, like to make you more
Yeah.
agile as possible, to kind of just take one less thing to think about and one less being to care for
Right.
off of the plate.
Right.
So that's part of it too, where it's like it's helpful, right? It's like it's helpful in a way as like sad and tender as it might be.
Hmm.
It's right, there's this extra aspect of agility, and then there's yeah, almost like the sense of like you can do this by yourself, where it's almost like there's this energy of like teacher or guide to this, where it's like I'm with you in the preparation, but I'm not there for you for the actual like doing of the thing. It's like you have to do that part on your own. So it has like a hero's journey almost quality to it, where it's like the teacher isn't with you when you're actually doing the big thing, but they're there before. They might be there after, but it's like during the big wave, they aren't with you. And so it has that like kind of sense to it. And that's okay if that doesn't really resonate. I know this is like pretty, we're in this like abstract kind of like vein here, but yeah, there is something about this. And it also seems like there's more around like this, yeah, chronic aloneness and like that theme throughout your life. It seems like there's more around that
Yes.
would kind of
Yeah.
touch it too.
There's a lot around that. Yeah, since childhood. And so I'm definitely revisiting, younger experiences lately as that becomes more prevalent. Yeah. So of course there's part of me that's like, will I always be in this place? Will I always, I mean, as much as I build community and I have connections, will I always actually be like alone in the
Mm,
sense without a companion?
okay.
So there's certainly that question that comes in.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that's not the right question.
Mm, okay. Now let me see if there's anything around that. It seems like they might have like they might be able to point in the direction of a question that might be helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems like it was kind of like just like in the vein of the first question you asked, which is like, what are the gifts of this chronic aloneness? And it seems like even more broadly, like why is there this theme of chronic aloneness? Because it seems like it's not new by any means. It's like it seems like it's kind of been there. It's been like
Mhm.
a soft wave over time.
Yeah, this whole lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Is that okay to kind of like
Yeah.
know that more? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like there might be like a past life thread around this too, of like, why is that here so strongly in this lifetime? And it seems like it might be connected to something that could have happened in a past lifetime or in a different timeline. Yeah. Is that something you're open to
Hmm.
exploring? Yeah. Let me see. So it seems like um in a past life, there's like a person, right? You, this like version of you where it's like there was a lot of like help available that created much more. It made the burden heavier. So it's like there's been this experience of like help gone awry where it's like having seeming like on the surface seeming to have so much support and resource available. And like when it all comes together, it like creates a mess and it makes things worse. And things like really went awry. It's like that's the word that's coming through. Is like where it's not just like, oh, that wasn't super helpful. Thanks for offering. It's like, oh, something bad happened because people were trying to help. And so it seems like there's like a guardedness around help. There's like a caution, just like a wariness that like not all help is helpful, even
Yeah.
if it's coming from a really lovely place. And so there's like this gift of discernment around that, where it's like you know that
Goodbye, cat. Yeah.
yeah.
Discernment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's discernment around like and it's just like it's through experience where it's like not this like naive sense of like oh, they're helping. Like, that's so nice. I'll take any help that comes in. It's like, I don't want any help that's offered. I want, I want to be discerning about what help I accept because I know that not all help is helpful. And so it's, and like, and even just like there's like neutrality around that. And there's also like a little bit of tenderness around like not all help is helpful, but some help is harmful. Where it's like, oof. And that's like kind of where there's like a little bit of tenderness there, soul tenderness there. And so it seems like in this lifetime, it's like, why is there chronic aloneness in this lifetime? Part of it is planned in a way, if you could, if we were going with that, where it's like, oh, we could choose a little bit about what we might experience. It's like, if we could say that the soul opts into some stuff, it's like that is there to prevent things going awry and like getting out of control. Because it seems like in the past, where that help was very present, there also wasn't the availability to refuse that help. It's like, so there's lots of resource available and you can't say no to it. Where it's like you have to take the help that's there. And it's almost this like imagery of like community and like community supporting a young person, where it's like the young person can't say no to like the help of like the older generations. And it's not just elders, but it's like anyone older. So it's like all of this like resources coming in and there's almost like no clarity and no plan. And it's almost like something about it is formulaic where it's like, but we always do this and it always works. And then this one time it didn't work and something went awry.
Mhm.
And so in this time it's like, I'm gonna just make sure that there's a buffer where it's not like I have crowds of people like forcing their help onto me. I'm going to give myself a buffer so I can exercise my discernment because there's this like wariness where it's like last time you knew that it wasn't going to be helpful, but you couldn't say no. And so you just had to watch this whole thing tumble into chaos. And this time it's like, I want to be able to exercise my keen discernment and
Mhm.
so I'm gonna support myself in that by not having hordes and hordes of people just like throwing their help at me. Or if that is there, I'm gonna make it such that there's enough of a buffer where I can say no if I need to and want to. And so that seems like one of the like gifts and just like reasons that that is present, or it's like that aloneness gives you the space you need to exercise discernment that wasn't allowed to flourish in the past.
Mhm.
And this is really like it's like ooh, aloneness has this like it's like cousins with um detachment and it's like not super attached to lots of stuff and it's like that detachment is also, it leads to freedom, where it's like there is a sense of freedom because it's like you're not having to think on behalf of like a large community and what they're going to think, and you can make your own decisions. So there's like a level of independence and freedom that comes with that. And again, the sense of agility. And it seems like that's something your soul wants in this lifetime is to be able to move if I need to. So that doesn't happen again, where it's like, I don't want to repeat what happened in the past, where it was like I was forced to stay in one spot, accept this help that I knew wasn't going to go well, and just be forced to watch it. It's like if something is not working, I want to be able to leave and go where I need to and to move and not just be stuck and forced to watch something bad happen. So that like agility, independence, freedom, it's all like very linked to this like chronic aloneness that's present to it. Like it gives you more freedom and agility to move and make your choices as you want to. So it's like definitely feeding like the experience of free will in this lifetime. It's like I am allowed to choose and I'm not going to
Mhm.
lose that for anything. It's like it seems
Mhm.
like that's something that the soul values most in this lifetime. It's like I want to make my choices for myself. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
How does that feel to you?
I mean, that feels true. And there's just challenges in it, of course. When you say
Yeah.
detachment, it's like the question comes in of how to be in relationship to others
Yeah.
at a satisfying level,
Yeah. Yeah.
like managing attachment in that desire for freedom.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Was there more that you wanted to say?
no, that could be a question: how to manage attachment in the construct of that desire for freedom.
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, so the first thing they're pointing to is like this was like they're inviting you to relate to this as though it's a choice. And whether like we might not know, was it fully a choice? I don't know. Does the soul choose every single thing? We don't know. But there's invitation to play with the perspective, like what if the soul chose this on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
That chronic aloneness, it was set up this way out of choice. And it's like, okay, if we can like green light that perspective and play with that for a minute, then it's like, ooh, okay, if part of me set that up to serve myself, then I'm free inside that. I'm not trapped inside it. It's not that it's like a sentence. You've been sentenced to chronic aloneness. It's like, let me start you off with these structures with some buffer so that when you're like a child, that story doesn't happen again and it's not forced on you. So it's like if you felt chronic aloneness as a kid, that was probably really painful. And it's like, what if it was set up that way so that it's like the story didn't just immediately repeat when you were young and vulnerable and didn't have as much free will as you do now. So it's like, okay, so maybe that was there as a buffer to protect you. And now it's like you're aware of it. So it's like through that awareness, you can choose when to kind of like close that buffer in and like collapse it a little bit and let people in more and when to keep it away. So it seems like as a default, there's a big buffer where it's like, we're not going to have like all these people coming in and telling me what to do and forcing their opinions on me because what if it's not good? And what if I can't say no? But now it's like, okay, you're an adult and you have that discernment, it's developed, and you have the ability to voice no when you need to.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now if the default was having the like bumpers on the gutters in the bowling alley, now it's like you can choose to take those down when you want to. But
Mm-hmm.
as a default, they were up. And it's only until you choose to kind of bring them down do they go down. So it's like they're going to stay up until you choose to kind of engage with it with more awareness, which you are completely able to do right now. And so what they're offering, it's like, how do we like it's like what's here around attachment and detachment when there is this need for freedom. It's like the offering in this is like you can trust your discernment, where it's like, oh, okay, I can trust myself to know what help is helpful and what help is not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I can trust myself in that. And so it's like it's safe to let people in as long as I can trust my own discernment because it's like this always happens. This happens with anyone that's like deeply cared for and it's like it's like over caring and like forcing help. It's almost just like that like loving mother that hasn't seen you in a long time that's like eat more, eat more, eat more. It's like, but I'm full, thanks. So it's like that kind of thing. And it's like if you can trust your discernment and know that you're able to say no and know that it's going to be heard this time and it'll be respected this time. And like you can trust yourself to find the people and relate with the people that will respect your choices and
Mm-hmm.
your own preferences, then it's like it's okay. Like we don't need this like really rigid buffer keeping all of the folks out and just like opting for aloneness over anyone. It's like we use the discernment to decide who gets to come in because they're gonna listen to me when I make my choices.
Mm-hmm.
How does this feel so far?
Uh, it feels good. It feels, um, yeah, it feels true. It's funny that we need reminders that we have choices. But we do. We need reminders that that's the case. as you're talking, I'm remembering like because that question was kind of posed as like how to manage, basically how to open and
Hmm.
also have some sort of structure. So I one of the questions I wrote before this call was like how to have a soft shell. And now I'm still thinking about the seed and like the layers
Hmm.
around the seed. So just that having a soft shell, like not hard shelling
Yeah.
and then taking forever to soften and then hard shelling and then so it and you know the answer I receive quickly is just like that just takes practice.
Yeah. It seems like around that, it's like it takes practice, and it's like there's a lot of compassion from the records around that like tendency to hard shell, and then it takes time to soften, and then it's like that tendency to have a hard shell makes complete sense given what happened last time. So it's like, yeah, that hard shell is there for a reason. It was serving a purpose. And what they're like inviting you to see is like, it's not that you just have a hard shell. It's like your first shell was soft and now you have a hard shell where it's like, so you actually have had practice having both the hard shell, maybe more in this lifetime, and a soft shell in past lifetime. So it's like you have experienced both and you're like perfectly positioned to integrate those two now, where it's like you know the value of both, you know what it's like to be inside both. And the hard shell tendency is more present in this lifetime. And so it might seem like it's harder to soften back into that. But it seems like it takes practice to remember how to be soft. But it's like you have learned this, you already know this. It's not new information. It's like softening and remembering how to be soft.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there's more around this. It seems like, yeah, just like safety is really present in this, where it's like feeling safe eases the process of softening and like switching back and forth between hard and soft. But they're also like inviting you into like seeing this gift that you might not have known that you had. It's like, well, there's this gift of being able to like very deftly modulate how hard or how soft the shell is. It's like you do have that. That is there. And maybe you haven't like fully gotten to experience like the radiance of that gift in its fullest capacity yet, but it's there and it's like it has everything it needs to express now. And so it seems like there's something here on like, well, how do I do that? And I don't know if that's something that you might want to ask.
Sure.
Okay. It seems like it's, and tell me if this is not true, but it seems like as it is now, it's like the hard shell tends to overpower um, the soft one, and it's like um, that's like almost like it's closer to default, right? Where it's like there's a hard shell that's more default.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so it seems like if that hard shell was a part that could talk, it just wants to know that it gets to choose. It's like, I decide, I decide. And that's like why it's so hard. It's like, this is my choice. And so it's like that hard shell would rather be alone than risk not having its choice be heard and its choice be final. Because it's like, I'm not doing that again. That was horrible, and I'm not doing that again. So it's
Hmm.
like, if no one's going to listen to me, I will make it such that no one's around me. That way it doesn't matter. So it's like, I'm going to be listened to no matter what. And
Oof.
so,
Yeah.
how does that feel?
Just feels tender.
Yeah.
I am now thinking of like parenting and
Hmm.
how that comes in.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like, I would rather be alone than not be heard.
Yeah, that's a really powerful sentence right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can feel that.
Hmm.
So it's like what the question is not just like how can I soften my shell? It's like what does the hard shell need to feel safe enough to take a breath and like allow it that hardness to come down, to allow those like bumpers on the bowling alley thing to like settle down.
Hmm.
It, that's the question. So it's like that's something that you could do is like in those moments where it feels like that hard shell is present, can you talk to it like it's a being? Where it's
Hmm.
like, what do you need right now to feel
Hmm.
safe enough to soften? Because you might know, I don't need to have a hard shell in this moment, but it's there.
Hmm.
And so it's like dialoguing between you, the part that knows it's like, I don't need this right now. I would actually prefer to have a soft shell right now. And then talking to that hard shell part. And it seems like the hard shell is saying, in those moments where it feels like I'm fighting you and I'm not listening, it's like, can you just remind me that you're going to listen to me? Because it seems like that's what it's scared of is that, like, what if she doesn't listen to me? And it's not just other people, but it's like, what if I'm telling her the hard shell is like, no, we need to make a choice. And what if she doesn't listen and she just goes with what other people are saying? So it seems like that part just really wants to know that uh, you trust its wisdom. You trust its discernment. That is the discernment. The discernment is the hard shell. So it's like it's such a gift just out of fear. It's like yeah, overcorrecting where it's like just have no one around and then like I'm always going to be heard because there's no one else there to tell you, Bree, what to do, right? So it's like if I'm the only voice that's here, then I will definitely be listened to because no one else is giving their opinion. I'm the only opinion that's here. And so it's like, can that part trust you to continue to listen to it, even if other people are giving you their opinions, even if other people are around telling you what their input is, offering their help? Can that part trust you to say no and listen to her first?
Hmm.
So this is really like self-trust. It's like, can you trust yourself to make your own decisions? That's
Hmm.
what that part needs.
Hmm.
And if that feels really solid, then it will feel like a little bit at ease. It'll be able to take a slightly deeper breath and relax a little bit and soften. So it's like, even if I had all the opinions, all the help in the world, am I still going to defer to myself at the end of the day
Hmm.
and let myself choose at the end of the day?
I think I want to just ask about resources.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular around that? Is there like a certain type of resource that comes to mind or just resource in general?
Um, I mean, I know many resources that I have, but I wonder if there's just this, what feel like the most supportive resources for me right now.
Okay.
What are the most supportive resources for me right now that I should follow or lean on, that I should lean on?
Hmm. Do you have any like daily practices or rituals that you do at this time?
You're already pointing to discipline and habits. I wish. No, I have intermittent rituals and practices that I do all
Oh,
over the place.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, let me see. Do you ever dabble with like journaling or are there any like writing practices that you've done?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Okay,
I've been moving toward that lately and feeling like I should probably be more consistent
great. Yeah,
writing.
yeah. It feels like there's something in writing, like writing as a resource. And that particularly is like a resource to cultivate deeper self-trust. So that's a good one for that, to that end that we just spoke about. It's like, how do we kind of like tend to that part and cultivate deeper self-trust? It feels like for you, like a writing practice would be really supportive of that, where it's like you could even like try writing like from that perspective, of like that different, like that hard shell, and then write from the soft shell, and then like you'd be able to almost like, yeah, kind of capture that perspective and just like really giving yourself permission to just like write whatever's there. And if that doesn't
Mhm.
work for you, that's fine. You don't have to do that. But it's like, yeah, there's something about like seeing your own wisdom and discernment on the page that will cultivate trust. So even if you're just talking from your own perspective, writing from your own perspective and letting the other pieces go, it's like, oh, I actually do have clarity. It's here on the page. I actually do know what I want. And like, I am
Yeah,
very clear. And yeah, I've got this. So it seems like that will be like very fortifying to like the sense of like, oh, I can trust myself. I know. It's right there. And like something really powerful about seeing it written out on the page of like, ah, I can hold the answer in my hands. I can hold my decision in my hands. I've got it here. I know what to do. And so that seems like, oh my gosh, that like part that was speaking a second ago, the hard shell is just like, ah, yay. Okay, good. Where it's like, okay, if I have like a documentation that I have made my decision known, now, okay, we can talk to other people and they can give their opinion because I can go back to holding that paper and being like, but I know what I thought first. And that is heard and it's not going to get lost and muddled because
yeah,
it was written really clearly just from your perspective before
yeah,
anyone else chimed in.
yeah,
And so doing that more consistently, if that's available,
yeah,
that will give that part like a lot of peace of mind and it'll help it just like naturally kind of relax because it's like it gets to talk every single day. You know, it's like your own voice gets to be heard and captured every single day. Where it's like now I don't have to be afraid of what other people like no one's going to sway your decision
yeah.
because you will have clarity on what you think and it's documented daily. So it seems like there's something about that where it's like, I need my turn to speak every day.
Well, this is all very perfect. I trust it all belongs, and I love that the soft shell question earlier came from because I constantly go back and read my old journals. So in here is something about a soft shell from you know a while back,
Yeah. Yeah.
like almost a year ago. So
Yeah.
that's where I go, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I did have insight. I just didn't realize I
Yeah.
had any insight.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how do we give the soft shell more space? Giving the hard shell a very regular spot to say what it needs to say. And then it doesn't have to dominate the soft shell because it's already said its piece. It's not having to talk over or push anyone away to make sure it's heard because it was already heard because you wrote it down. It's there. And it trusts that you will go back and read it. And it's like, it's there. Something about having it documented is important, where it's like in writing feels important to that, where it's like, I can look at it and read it and it's there. Yeah, it's almost like it feels more undeniable, where it's like, it's different than just like letting yourself kind of like have a thoughtful, just like, oh, I'll just think about whatever I want to think about. It's like, no, write it down or it doesn't count. Capture it or it doesn't count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very affirming. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And I love that you were already kind of like gravitating back towards that and wanting to kind of, yeah, get back into the writing practice again. So that's perfect.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be long, but it really just, yeah, just like it feels like a profound trust building exercise. Like no matter what happens, and if you can get to daily or even just like, even if it's every other day, the consistency will build trust with that part because it's like, I'm gonna get my turn to talk. I know, I trust that she's gonna come back to me and let me say what I think. And
Mhm.
we're not gonna go long periods of time where I don't get to say it out loud and like put it in writing. Out loud feels like in writing for this part where it's like
Yeah.
I get to have it like solidly declared what I think at this moment in time.
I love the word declare.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah, it's medicinal. So
Uh,
that's something that's there. And then it seems like there's more resource available too. But that's like the most potent resource for this like trust building, piece. If that's something that you wanted, if you wanted to cultivate deeper self-trust, that's one really lovely way to do it. And
Mhm.
then it seems like, and I know you've named this, it's like you feel like you might be moving, right? And it's like there we might be sitting like right on the cusp of like transition. And so in that like vein, because it seems like that is really possible, like yeah, like they're affirming your sense, is what do you need to make yourself like to resource yourself as much as possible to make that transition time as smooth as possible when it comes? So it's like they're almost just like pointing to, and it's not like they're not offering specific resources necessarily, but they're asking you, since you know better than I do what resources you do have available. It's like, what are the resources that would support your agility and like the smoothness, where it's like it's not time to move yet, but it might be really soon. It might be in a while. We don't know. But it's like when that time comes, when you get the like hit to like, okay, it's time to make a move, what would you love to have already in place to make that possible? Now is a really good time to like set that up. So it's like while you're waiting, you might as well put the ducks in a row, you know? So it's like just pointing towards like any resources that would make that smooth. And it's like, things to think about is like, have you had like a move in the past? Like, have you done that before? Where you've like, yeah, have you moved or been in a time of transition before? Or does this feel new?
What I'm going through right now feels really new in like every way. Kind of
Okay.
like everything is changing all at once. A lot of inner movement, and then I feel outer movement coming.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of movement. So this is different.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. So yeah, let me sit with that. So it seems like there's just two things to think about as you resource yourself, which it's like the logistics of like what will make this smoother when it's time to go. Like, is there financial things that need to be in place or like uh I don't know, or even just like assessing like what you want. There's like the logistical piece that will serve agility of just like not putting stuff off till the last minute and starting to orient towards like what would I need to do if I did have to move quickly? What would help that? So it's logistics in the vein of agility. And then there's also like, oh, there's a lot of inner movement happening too. We don't want to ignore that. It's like, how can I orient towards comfort? What resources help me
Yeah.
feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Because you're not moving yet. The
Yeah.
transition hasn't started yet, but it's everything is like getting ready to do that. And that's happening on the inside. So it's like yeah, slowly start to just like get some logistical pieces in place. It's almost like just have an awareness, even if it's you don't even have to do anything, but it's like, can you make a list when you think of something that you will have to do? Write it down. That way it's not just like scattered everywhere when it's time to do stuff. You already have like captured your thoughts of like, yeah, these are some of the things I'm gonna have to do. So it's in your awareness and not in a way to like panic and be like, oh, I have so much stuff to do, but it's just like I am orienting towards this transition that's coming as it becomes more and more clear with time, because it's like you might not have all the pieces, you don't know what's going to happen,
No, no,
but
not
when,
at all.
right, but as the clarity comes, if you have a sense of like, oh, it might be helpful to, I don't know, open this kind of bank account or to move some money over here, or whatever it is. I'm just using that as an example, but it's like, yeah, just like write that down. And it might, the moment you think of it might not be the moment to do it, but it's like write it down. That way it's like you have this list that's capturing clarity as you get closer to the transition and as the like what the outside manifestation of the inner transition is becomes clear, you're already starting to like look for what that is. Does that make sense? And not just waiting for it to hit you all at once. And then it's like, oh gosh, now I have to scramble and like it's time to go. And suddenly clarity's here. It's like as you kind of like get
Yeah.
ideas or senses of like what you might need to do, just write it down.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is just trust the little impulses,
Yeah.
even if I'm very unsure of what that even means yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And so it's just like start to just like kind of scan uh for when you have a sense of something you might need to do. And again, the moment you think of it might not be the time to do it, but just having that awareness seems like it'll be helpful. And then yeah, this other piece, so that's like logistics and agility in one direction. And then the inside tending is like, how can I make myself as comfortable as I'm able to right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like tending to the body is helpful. So
Yes.
it's like, yeah, it might be body work, it might be energy work, but it seems like there's a lot of like healing happening and like a lot is getting like totally rearranged and like beliefs are kind of moving out, new things are coming in.
Yeah.
And so it seems like that's like a lot of like energy for the body to rearrange. So it's like tending to it as much as possible will be supportive because it's like that's a lot of work that it's doing
Yeah.
in a subtle way. So yeah, just like tending to it. And it's like maybe that's like soups, that are like just loaded with a lot of nutrition and vegetables and yeah, body work. So it's like, yeah, comfort, just like the most essential kind of like oldest comforts there are. It's like those, remember that those are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be fancy.
Mhm.
Did that answer your question? I know it was a little more vague of just like not the resources, but the type of resources to look to.
No, that's all perfect. It's lovely to have just affirmation that the
Mm.
threads I'm following are the right threads, you know,
Yeah.
just to have
Mm.
that mirrored and named is really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just in your head. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
there? Would you like me to ask if there's any last messages before we close?
Sure. And just giving a lot of gratitude from here.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah. It seems like the thing that your keepers of your records, your beloveds on this side are saying is we trust you. We trust you. And yeah, it's like they just see you as so capable. And they were saying yeah, just we trust you and do with that what you will. And it's almost like whether or not you trust yourself, and you do. And it seems like there's room there to even expand into that more. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
even if nothing changed and you didn't do anything differently, they would still trust you. They know that you know what to do. Mm. Yeah. And there's just all kinds of support and encouragement coming from this side, your team on this side, and reminding you that it might feel like that chronic aloneness is really real. It is really real. And you have so much support. You're so held, you're so tended in the unseen realms.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that reminder like you can tune into that, sense into that, feel into that anytime that aloneness feels really hard and challenging to bear. It's
Mm-hmm.
like remembering that imagery of the seed and like the warmth of the earth, the nutrients that are just all around it in the soil, the warmth of the unseen sun coming through. It's like that level of care and needs being met and tendedness. That's what's there for you. Okay, that concludes the Akashic reading. And now we'll move into the post-reading chat where I got to chat with Bree a few days after I read for her. Let's dive in. So, yeah, we got to do a reading together. I think it was about a week ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm curious how you've been doing since the reading, how it's been landing for you.
Yeah, I think it was really helpful. I felt more grounded. for a little while after, maybe a couple days after. And also, you know how sometimes we'll learn things or we'll realize something and then we forget kind of quickly. Some of the themes have really been sticking with me, which is always good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, and particularly, I think just this idea of like the hard shell, soft shell thing that we kind of touched on. And like I've just been really curious about that. And it's been then kind of translating to self awareness in different aspects of my life. Um, I actually, yesterday was kind of hard. I woke up crabby and I went to my journal and I kind of did the exercise we discussed of like, and we could probably name the hard soft shell in a number of ways, but
Yeah, probably.
ultimately it's like, um, you know, the hard shell or like the thoughts of protection, the thoughts of fear, the thoughts of, um, you know, quote unquote negativity. And so today I actually tried that. I just journaled like all my mutterings of angst and frustration. And it was actually, and I don't usually do that. Like I really just went for it. I went like above it. I was like, this is going to go wrong and this is going to go wrong and this is going to happen and nobody cares about this. And like, I just really let it go. And it was actually really helpful because even I noticed the act of writing some of those harder thoughts um, from that part of me was um, so painful even to write it because I knew in my higher self that it isn't true,
It
right?
felt painful to write it because you knew it wasn't true.
Right, because the soft part of me or the more expansive part of me knows even as I'm writing, okay, I can already hear the more supportive voice inside saying, wait a minute, that's not true. And so it was really helpful to just be able to observe in real time. And I just remember our discussion of like, no, jot it down, whatever it is, jot it down. And so I just really like went kind of over the top today of like writing down all the things that could potentially go wrong or the things that I needed protection from. Um, and so it just led to a lot of compassion, which is another theme, you know, that we kind of move towards of like being compassionate um, around that shift from being more protected to being more consistently soft.
Mm.
So the themes are really helpful um and I am like putting them into practice, which I think is a big part of all these kinds of things is like you get insight or inspiration or support and then the next step is you actually have to do something with
Yeah.
it.
That's remarkable. Wow. I love that just like in that moment you could feel the presence of like the hard and the soft shell like while doing that. That's
Mhm.
what it sounds like at least.
Yeah, it didn't take much, but
Yeah.
just the invitation to kind of do it in that structured way
Yeah.
is a helpful invitation.
So
Thank
glad.
you.
I'm so glad. Oh, that's amazing. I'm so like excited that you tried that. That's great.
Mhm.
Wow. That's really beautiful. Yeah, I was like in the reading, I was like really struck by that of like, oh, wow, like the just the story of the hard shell and like why it's there and what it needs.
Mhm.
And like the yeah, like what it was kind of voicing, it was like it just wants to be heard. So I'm glad that you got to try that practice. That's really lovely.
Uh-huh.
Wow, it's amazing. Um, oh yeah. I'm um I'm curious too. I can't remember. Was this your first time getting an Akashic Record reading? Or was it not?
Yeah, in this way, I think. Just as a
Okay.
little practice with like people that I know or
Oh, right, right. Yes.
group thing or we just practice kind of reading for each other very, very briefly,
Okay.
um, but not like this, not with the continuous flow of question and answer,
Okay.
not in that way. So so
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. What was that like for you?
I'm used to when I sometimes approaching kind of the depths or maybe the spiritual underbelly of things, which I do often, but um, I'm used to it being a more sometimes jarring and sometimes just really overwhelming. So I felt like what was really special here was how gentle it all felt. Like, even though we are, I mean, I was asking really vulnerable questions um, and like, there's a lot of pain involved in some of these questions, but it just felt really gentle and supportive and yeah, just also one thing I was really struck by and just kind of tickled by was that some of the words you used were like words that I would use. And
Oh.
so I don't know if that's because that's your own language or if that's because sometimes in these readings, the words that are coming through to you maybe are words that can best be understood by the receiver. So
Mm.
that was my assumption, but I don't know if you would think that's true. But some of
Wow.
the words you said, I was like, yeah, that's my word. Like,
So
and
funny.
and
I'm
that felt
curious which words it was because I'm like, I would be able to answer if that's my language or not.
um yeah, I can't remember totally. I do remember being like excited that you said the word declare because that was important and it's a word
Mm.
I've been trying to own this last year. But also um there were other things that like there's just a lot of power in words. And
Yeah,
so there were other phrases where I was like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Like when someone speaks to you in a phrase you really resonate with, it's a lot more powerful.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So I think like that's such an I'm like fascinated by that. I'm like, oh, I love that like the language resonated with you. That's so lovely and I'm really happy to hear that. And I think like there have definitely been readings that I've done where I'm saying like words will come through that I don't know the meaning of sometimes. So it's like I'm like sounding it out because I've never even heard the word and I'm like, I don't is that a word? I don't know. And so I think it's probably a mix. Like maybe well, it certainly is a mix. There's the way that I talk, and then there's a lot that comes through the records that like I wouldn't have ever phrased that way. I wouldn't have ever thought that thing on my own.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do think that the records are masterful at how they kind of like offer the information to the specific person that I'm reading for. And I'm glad that you got to experience that and like kind of pick that up in certain phrases. That's amazing. Yeah, because like the word declare, I don't think I've ever said that like in the last I don't unless I'm talking about like the Declaration of Independence, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like,
kings and queens. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow. I'm glad that it felt gentle to you. I'm curious, do you think that, like, what contributed to that sense of gentleness? Was it that the records were using the language that resonated with you? Was that part of it? Or was it something else that made it feel gentle?
I mean, I think you're holding a soft approach, so that's helpful, right? Of course, it's also about the person who's reading. Um, and I mean, particularly, I could give myself credit maybe just for my own openness too.
Yeah.
Like I prefer to be in these spaces more than some other spaces at times.
Yeah,
Um,
I can relate to that.
yeah. So I guess I just expected to maybe be more emotional, like really getting at the meat of like really hard things. And
Yeah. Like we were
uh,
talking about chronic aloneness. Like that's
right,
so
people don't want to
tender.
admit they're lonely half the time, right? I'm talking
Yeah.
about like being alone like throughout
Yeah.
my life, pretty
Yeah.
much constantly. So Um, and also, it feels important because I think a lot of people will resonate with that. And that is like one of the largest problems with our world is that feeling, even if it's not true for some, but just the feeling of the aloneness. So I think that's, a huge issue to tackle in this life. but yes, just on a personal level, I suppose I thought I'd be a little more like have more emotional affect.
Yeah.
I just felt really held in the space of asking these questions. And yeah, the things that came through were most of it was pretty connected. And so it just kind of flowed from other things I'd been thinking of
Oh.
these days going to like ask, thinking of my questions and the days leading up to it. Like for instance, I was thinking, oh, I shouldn't probably ask about my cat. Maybe that's a weird thing to ask about. But then when your cat, walked in, I thought, okay, I can ask about the cat. And and that was helpful too. I've actually found myself, I was just, I think like in the middle of the night scrolling through pictures of my cat and um kind of more in a grieving way, which I hadn't grieved much because I was like, he's coming back, he's coming back. And now I just don't know if he's coming back. Maybe he could. Cats do that. But either way, I think it just brought me a little peace because I have trusted that he's fine. Either he's fine on the other side or he's fine, in a house that with better wet food. But maybe a playful other cat. But yeah, like always just had a lot of faith in that cat. Like he's
Yeah.
a good hunter. He can take care of himself. Um, and so yeah, there was just like a little bit of grieving that was happening, which was kind of nice.
Hmm. Yeah, it was sweet to get to connect with the cat through the records that way and to kind of, yeah, like hear how he likes to support you in a very specific kind of unique way of like showing up at certain times before
Mhm.
certain like events or something. It was, yeah, it was remarkable. And I always think like questions about pets are so sweet. Like it's always such a sweet topic to explore in a reading. Yeah, because there's like such a strong soul bond there most times.
Mm,
And people feel that with their pets. It's like you're so connected to our dear animal friends, you know?
mhm. Yeah, so that was helpful.
Mm.
And funny too, right? Like when you see your own words kind of reflected back to you anytime we get that experience, we get to laugh and like have
Yeah.
some levity around that, right?
Yeah.
Have some levity around you saying, um, I know I can leave if I want to. Like just you voicing that and then it just kind of it takes a little of the pressure off, to
Yeah.
see that embodied um,
I'm glad.
as a mirror. So
Yeah.
um, so there was also, yeah, there was levity in it as well, which is good because I think we all take things very seriously.
I know. Yeah. It's easy for this kind of stuff to get heavy. It's like it's not far from heavy at any point in time. Yeah. When talking about, yeah, aloneness or like a pet or any of these things or like soft shells and hard shells and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, heaviness isn't far from any of that. So I'm glad that it could have a light touch for you.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm curious how you're feeling because the like that was kind of like the root question that you came in with was this like question around chronic aloneness, which I love that phrase that you used because it's so potent and I think it like captures a lot in those words.
Mhm.
And I'm curious how you were feeling about it before the reading and how you're feeling after the reading, if there's any difference at all. And it's okay if there's not.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had a lot of overwhelm beforehand because whenever you say yes to these spaces and mystery, you just don't know what's coming through. Sometimes there's fear, I think, in these spaces of maybe I'll hear something I don't want to hear. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, that is
so every
scary.
time you do it, you're just like being brave and you're being okay with whatever feels true to you that comes through. Um, and so I think there was overwhelm just in, yeah, I guess the idea of bringing that in. I think I had other ideas days before that, and then as we got closer, which I trusted that experience. that experience of aloneness was really heavy days before, which is why it shifted to that question, because I just tend to trust that that's where you should go if that's what's alive then.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's where I was going to go. And I didn't, I thought maybe that would be too much, but um, I did it anyway because that's who I am.
I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that
and
you trusted that.
and yeah, I think, of course, there's parts about it that I don't like. There's pros and cons to freedom, right? There's pros and cons to freedom.
Yeah.
And that I think is a larger message that everyone listening to this whole podcast would understand is like, yes, we can be detached or unattached and we can be free, but then we are going to also have those other experiences of like, to whom or what do I belong? And all of these other questions that come up as a result.
Yeah.
So of course there's parts of it that I'm like, "Ugh, do I like that? I don't know. But I think the offer was the most important offer was like, you know, stand with yourself and remember that it's you're just making choices. Like hopping here and choosing that. If that doesn't work, you're hopping here and you're choosing that. And if I want to be in a situation where I'm more together with community or together with a partner, like there is an option of that. But it just needs to be a whole yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know that in my mind, but to just, I felt like it was reminded in a lighter way of
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no sentence here. You're not sentenced to anything, but you're just making choices.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're feeling what feels right through discernment was the message. Um, so it just kind of, yeah, it was more empowering, right? Reminding me of my own um, power in all of it and ability to say yes and then change my mind or say no and then change my mind. And I
And
think,
that can be a welcome reminder sometimes because it's like we know that, and it's easy to forget that we're choosing quite a lot of the time. And there are moments where it's like we have obligations and maybe it doesn't feel like a true choice, but
mhm,
yeah, it can be helpful to just like be, yeah, kind of like reunited with that like choice is available.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I think reminders is really what we need a
Mm.
lot of the
Yeah.
time when we're
Yeah.
feeling overwhelmed or we're feeling stuck. And that doesn't always just like snap through from within. Sometimes we need someone to help us with that, either to reflect what we're saying or to connect with us to something greater and to be able to um, provide that. Just it's just so powerful. So this kind of work is really important and um, just kind of can lift,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know, can lift us when we need it. So yeah, I'm really grateful. I think anyone who comes to you is, in their own way on their spiritual path, right? And so even on that path, it's easy to fall into the space of doubt at times, like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Or where am I going? Or what am I
Maybe
doing?
more so. It's like you, yeah, it's like you're very susceptible to doubt on a path like that, I think.
So I've been a lot in and out of that. And so this reading with you was really, it was supportive and it was affirming and it was like I wish I didn't need so many reminders, but I do. I need so many reminders that like it's all okay, like this is it's it's okay and it's understood and there's ways in which the things that feel hard are helping us. And that's a
Yeah.
hard thing to
That's,
grasp sometimes.
yeah, that can be a tough one to swallow and an
Yeah.
unwelcome reminder sometimes where it's like, but I don't like it. Like, I don't want it.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm glad that this could serve as like yeah, a reminder. It sounds like it landed, like, because
I feel like there's a difference too in like the types of reminders because it's like we can, write it on a post-it note and we could say our affirmations and there's like for me I feel like sometimes there's a difference between like a mental reminder where it's like rehearsing something and thinking a thought and then for me sometimes when the records tell me something that I know, it's like it lands in a different place in me and it's felt differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's something magical that the records offer, at least to me, where it's like it just lands in a different place and it feels really different than just hearing the words and understanding them at a mental level.
Yeah, and it landed easily.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. I'm
Felt
happy
like,
to
it
hear.
felt like for me, and again, maybe I was receptive at that moment, but
Hmm.
um, and again, I was just like spitting angst in my journal today, so it's not like everything is cured,
Right. Yeah.
but it did land in a way that I could receive it, and I could also then put things into practice to support
Yeah.
myself. So
That's
yeah,
great.
I do. It was easy to receive.
That's good. I'm glad that in that moment, whatever it might have been, maybe the timing and your openness certainly played a strong part in that. And yeah, maybe some of the wording. So I'm glad it just like landed in that moment. It was able to be received. I'm curious if you had a favorite part of the reading or if there was something from the reading that you think you'll take with you after this experience.
Well, I think I mentioned like how fun it was to just bring in the cat because I just had all these little floating ideas and I jotted them down and then most of them ended up coming through. I think I think the line that was really powerful that I wrote down here was this habit of feeling of I would rather be alone than not be heard.
Yeah, which that's a potent like statement, declaration, if you will. Like, yeah.
That was a big statement, and I think it was a really humbling statement. And I've not only been thinking a lot about that, but I've been looking at people around me in the world when I'm listening, and kind of seeing it in others as well, seeing that message in others.
Wow. I feel like that was a strong like sentence to come through the records. And there's like a malleability to that where it's like maybe that feels true and that doesn't have to be a true statement too. And that was the sense I got with the records too. It's like maybe that resonates now and it feels like, oh, it hit something because it feels maybe true in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think that's what the dialogue of the soft shell and hard shell were kind of like getting at, where it's like maybe one part feels like this is super true, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it doesn't have to be all the way true all the time. Where it's like, it seemed like that was something that felt like it was a theme that was like present in the reading was like, and you were naming that like by talking about choice, it's like you have choice in how you interact with some of these themes of like protection and aloneness and when you want to open up to that. And so I feel like even in that statement of like, I'd rather be alone than not be heard, it's like, and you could totally flip that if you wanted to in different moments. There's choice even in that.
Yeah, and I think it was more like that was a humbling statement because it was just kind of being able to look back and just see where that's played in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And again seeing it in others, like seeing it playing now in others when I'm listening to their stories, and like how many parts of relationships we're willing to risk just to stay in our own like firm place.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think like what it is offering is flexibility.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
word that's just like with me now, and that's an annoying word too.
Yeah.
But it's like what's called for really
Yeah.
every day. But I think yeah, the impact of that sentence coming through, how it hit me was really powerful and just also a really big invitation. So I think that will stick with me. And yeah, and I love that I could bring in, old, like the soft shell, hard shell thing, or how to have a soft shell was something I wrote a long time ago in a journal. And so being able to dive deeper into like my own knowing,
Hmm. Yeah.
something that I've alluded to before, that was really special. I think it all was really cohesive in the end.
Mm. I'm glad. There was one last little curiosity I have, and then I'll let you go. But you said earlier, like coming into something like this, it can be scary because it's like, what if I hear something I don't want to hear? And I'm like totally relate to that. I have that like that's so strong in me anytime I like work with anyone or because it's like don't because it can be hard to let it go if you hear something that you did not want to hear, you weren't prepared to hear. It's like that shit sticks with you and
Right,
it can be, I think, devastating sometimes too if you're not ready for it.
right.
So I'm curious, like, I don't know. I think for me, I'm curious how that maybe worry around that felt over the course of the reading, if that like was present the whole time or how it felt after. Because I think for me, that's something I really like about the Q&A format of this modality, actually. And that's why I'm so drawn to it, is because if I'm asking the question, they're not just gonna go rogue and dive into a topic that I didn't even ask about, you know?
That's really helpful to hear you say it in that way. That I think that's an important distinction of like you're not just going to get what you get. You're asking the question so you can be, I mean, in a way you can protect yourself.
Hmm.
There's questions you're too scared to ask, you're not going to ask them.
Like, don't ask. Yeah.
So the worry, and again, like I will say in with other modalities, it is more like that. Like it's truth that comes through and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I gotta kind of just see
Yeah.
how I feel about that in later. But
Yeah.
um and you don't really want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Um and so I've had a lot of that experience. So I don't think the worry was really strong. It's just more that I think when I step into these spaces that there's like emotions and things that are coming up that are tied to the question itself that's like ready to be looked at.
Yeah.
It's like your body's already preparing.
Hmm.
Like in the constellation world, we would say pre-field.
Okay.
So this would be, kind of the same thing. I think there was like preemptive things coming through because I part of me knew what I was going to be looking at or sitting with. So I was preparing myself by already having some of those harder emotions.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and so that's why, if I look back in my journal, it's like notes the overwhelm of before the reading, like, or the day before. But,
Oh, yeah.
and in my note here, I'm like noticing some shame and humility that were kind of coming in at the same time of
Yeah.
asking that question. So I think, and that can be why people get scared too, is like if they're already having all these big feelings and
Right.
go into something like this, then they're like, maybe that's not right,
Yeah. It can feel scary to go deeper into something that already feels like there's a charge or some activation on it. Yeah.
Yes, but I tend to come from the place of like, if there is a charge, let's go there because I
Yeah.
don't
Go hard. Yeah.
have that
I love
charge
to.
charging and buzzing forever. So let's like break that open.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it can take bravery, right? It takes bravery to do that, where it's like, yeah, and I respect that and admire that, and I feel like that absolutely contributes to like the way the reading goes is like how you show up in your energy and your capacity and your courage. So yeah, thank you for bringing all of that.
yeah, yeah. And I don't think during the reading that I was noticing any of that. Like once I was
Good.
focused, yeah, I mean there was part of mystery in asking these questions, but I also like with a lot of the answers I found that I already like I could understand them on a deeper level based on the way they were offered. But
Hmm.
I also it was a lot of affirming what I do know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just need a reminder that I can, like we said in the reading, like trust that knowing
Yeah.
over and over and over. And it's such a practice, and it's so challenging at times to know the small voice and
Hmm.
to know the other voices, and what's the difference.
Yeah, yeah, and that like cultivation of that discernment and the trust, cultivation of trust, because it's so relational, right? It's like you're trusting your own voice. It's like your relationship and trust with yourself. That's like those are lifelong practices. Like, and so yeah,
Mhm.
those reminders, it's annoying to need reminders, but it's like, yeah, it makes sense because it's like that is an ongoing thing that needs tending. And
Mhm.
like there's depth, so it's like the deeper you go into it, it's like the more reminding and kind of like, yeah, like it's okay. Like, yes, it's still okay.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't think the like those hard feelings at the beginning, they didn't carry through. And certainly by the end of the reading, I felt, um, and throughout, I felt quite grounded and quite
Mhm.
supported.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. I was curious about that because that's a feeling that I definitely have going into readings with the other folks and stuff. Because, and yeah, again, that's like the reason. I think that's the number one reason I like fell in love with this modality and gave it a try at all. Because it was like, I ask the questions, like it's a level of control for me where it's like, yeah, the person receiving the reading has some control. I'm not going to spew out stuff. I won't even get stuff unless I'm asked. So that
Mhm.
for me, that yeah, like really infuses a different type of safety into the modality, which I really appreciate. So yeah, I had to ask you about that just because I relate to that. Not worry. I definitely have that.
Right. It takes trust on both sides. Like it takes trust for the person asking the question, and it takes trust for you receiving information, and, you know,
Oh yeah.
feeling like whatever is coming through will be able to be received.
Yeah, and
Trusting in that.
that's a
Trusting
whole
in
different thing. Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it feels, well, I can affirm right now that you could trust what came through because it was all helpful. Um,
Glad.
yeah, yeah, it felt it did just feel very gentle though.
Awesome.
And and again, I like the idea of permission in the beginning, of the asking of permission to open the records, and then just letting the person lead, you know, in a way that I think that's all really good things about this as well.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I'm really glad that it could feel gentle to you. That's like my highest priority is like safety and gentleness in this because it can get heavy and it can get scary and it's so unknown, it's like it's a deeply mysterious modality. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's like one of my yeah, deepest intentions and hopes is to infuse some gentleness and some, yeah, groundedness in it because it's pretty out there. Pretty unknown. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. Was there anything else that you wanted to add or say about your experience, or do you feel complete?
I just love that you kind of came to me at a time when I needed that, you know, and I
Mm.
do trust those things. And so um, I'm just very grateful. Thank you for being part of this path that I'm on that feels very rocky at times right now.
Oh, it's an honor. I'm so glad. It was such a delight to read for you.
Welcome, welcome back. How was that for you? Oh my gosh, I enjoyed that so much. I enjoyed connecting with Bree, and reading for her was such a pleasure. I'm so curious if any of this resonated with you. What were the parts? Were there certain moments of the reading, things that Bree said, things that the keeper said that really landed for you? If there were, I would love to know. Like, please drop a comment or send me a message or something and let me know what really, yeah, resonated with you, if anything. And I think something that there was so much about this reading that I enjoyed, but something that I found like such a welcome reminder is, my goodness, this was a heavy topic. And, we explored past life experiences and why this theme of chronic aloneness is present. And I think what was really beautiful in what the Keepers of the Records offered was this implicit, in what they shared, implicit reminder that, yes, things may have happened that have caused this theme to be present, whether it's a past life, if you resonate with that kind of way of thinking, or if it's just something that occurred in this life for whatever reason, a theme, a difficult theme or pattern might be here, but through the perspective they offered, it reminded me, and I think it reminded Bree too, that, oh, this isn't for no reason. And whatever the reason is that it's here, could it be that this difficult theme is serving you in some way? And that's not to romanticize challenges, but I think that's really, what the records and the keepers of the records, I kind of use them interchangeably, but that's what the records offered us was like, yes, this theme of chronic aloneness can be painful. It is painful. And it almost felt like they were helping us move around, like around this thing that we're looking at, to look at it literally from a different perspective. And I think the question that Bree asked opened the door to that by asking, what are the gifts? And I think this is what I'm inarticulately wanting to remind us all, is that being able to stay open to the inquiry, to the question, what are the gifts of this thing I'm experiencing that might be so hard, that is likely so hard and so tender? Are there gifts in it? To just be open enough to hold the question, to hold the possibility that there might be gifts to it, that is an incredibly empowering place to sit. That's a very empowering place to keep yourself, to hold yourself. That's an empowering way to approach life. And it's not easy. And I totally recognize that. And you might not be able to hold that possibility that maybe there's a gift in this all the time. And yeah, there's no need to bypass the pain or the difficulty of an experience. But when you are feeling those difficult feelings and moving through those tender themes, it's almost like, can you find the lighter moments where you are able to kind of touch into a perspective or a possibility like that? And that, I think, takes a little bit of hope. It takes a little bit of resilience. It takes some buoyancy. And Bree brought so much levity to the reading. And I think all of those are such beautiful skills to cultivate. Those are things that we can practice cultivating within ourselves, to be able to hold the possibility that maybe there's a gift in this difficult thing I'm experiencing. And that doesn't take away the challenge of it by any means. But I think that was such a sweet thing that the records were reminding us, was that, yeah, there's a gift. There could very well be a gift in this thing if you're willing to look for it. And that piece is up to us. It's up to us, because it's not always easy to see the gifts in those difficult experiences. And we might not always want to see the gift in the difficult experience. And I really get that. And I've been there tons of times. And I'm very familiar with that, of like, I don't really want to look on the bright side. And that's so valid too. And I think, yeah, something that was really sweet about this reading was just the reminder that we have choices. And when we can cultivate some spaciousness within ourselves and a little bit of levity, we can really, there's a lot of freedom in how we look at things. And there's a lot of, yeah, I think being able to have some flexibility in our perspectives of how we see and approach our lives and the challenges in our lives, that is super powerful. And it's such a superpower. It's such a skill if we're able to tend to that and cultivate that and practice that. And I do think that that's something that takes practice, to be able to be willing to see things differently when you're going through something difficult. especially something chronic, something that's very long term, it can be really hard to even have the hope or the resilience or the desire to see something differently when you might have just gotten used to it over a long period of time, which is, again, super understandable. I think we can learn a lot from, yeah, just Bree's openness and, yeah, how she approached this question. And again, I so admire her courage. And if you resonated with this topic, if you appreciated Bree's questions, um, I would love if you wanted to leave just a kind note for her in a comment. If you, yeah, appreciated anything about how she showed up, the questions she asked, her bravery, yeah, leave a kind word or two for her in a comment, and I'm sure she would love to see that. So, thank you so, so much for being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, my one request for you is to please share this with a friend, especially this episode with this kind of topic. If you know someone that is struggling with aloneness, loneliness, chronic aloneness, please send this episode to them if you think it might be helpful for them. That would mean a great deal to me. It means a lot to have your help in sharing this Akashic goodness with more people. So thank you so, so much for being here. And I'm wishing you well until next time. Namaste.